Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm just waiting for to go live on my Facebook group, so I will be right with you. And I think that did it. All right, I think I'm live in both places. And yeah, I'm live in both places. All right, so welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this through YouTube, and that way you'll get notified. And I do post notices that I'm going live and the times in my Facebook page and group now that I'm able to go back live in my group. So I don't know who's joining me today. Hopefully there'll be some people joining. I know it is the Canada Day long weekend here in Canada. So if you're out and about enjoying this and watching on the replay, I hope you had a great time spending time with family and friends. And for those of you watching from the US, I know it's your holiday coming up. So happy July 4th, a little early. All right, so today I decided that I would, yesterday I made a card out of the ice cream swirl bundle with donuts, and I used the pearlized metallic enamel. What is it called? Pearlized enamel effects to add some shimmer to it looks like glaze on my donuts. So today I decided to pull out my embossing paste and I'm going to make an ice cream cone and add a little bit of texture to my ice cream using the shimmery embossing paste. My other embossing paste dried up and I thought I had it closed off. So I'll talk a little bit about how you store your embossing paste if you've got some, because the shimmery one didn't dry up the way I had it stored. So I think I may be onto something. All right, I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we will get started. Okay, there we go. So this is the ice cream swirl bundle. So this is what I used yesterday, and all I used from it was this donut that I stamped and then the die to cut my donut. But today I'm going to make an ice cream cone. So I have used the builder dies that you can create the ice cream. You can stamp the ice cream, but I decided to use the builder dies. So this one, this one, this one, oh, and the other one's here. So you can actually cut the pieces for an ice cream cone out of using these dies. So I've got the cone is cut out of pecan pie. And then I'm going to layer the ice cream so it looks like it swirls. So this is out of Bubble Bath. And the other color I have going on is Berry Burst. So it's really fun when you create using these builder dies. Now this die will actually make 2 cones, or you can create a tag out of it. This one just does some embossing for you. So it's really cool to get some texture to your cone. But I'll explain what I did. Find my envelopes so I don't lose them. Okay, so let's bring in my trimmer and we'll get started on this card that I had the idea for. So I've got a piece of Bubble Bath. I always want to call it bubble gum, Bubble Bath, cardstock 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. And I'll grab my bone folder, and as always, fold into the mountain or the raised line and give it a good burnish. Okay, then I took a piece of basic white cardstock and I embossed this using the Painted Textures embossing folder. So this still is around. You can actually, maybe you can see the texture better on this one. It's now an online exclusive, so you won't find that in the catalog. But so some things that disappeared or seemingly disappeared from the catalog, you can find in the online exclusive section of my online store. So this is one of those that appears there. So I'm just going to take and adhere that. I thought that was kind of a fun texture to use with the ice cream. There we go. Okay, now, as I said, I cut out my cone from the die. And when you cut this out, it's actually intended, I don't know if intended, but it's like a tag. So you can either use your paper snips or the trimmer just to cut off any extra cardstock that you have over and above the top of it. So we're going to put that. Now I'm going to pull in, like I said, I'm going to do a swirl cone. So I cut out one out of Berry Burst and one out of Bubble Bath. And I'm now going to take, and if I can figure out how this goes, I'm going to take, actually I'm going to turn this over. Let's do it backwards so that then I can take. So I'm going to then take and fit the pieces. Now, if I had done this properly, I could have gotten 2 cones out of it, but I didn't save the other cone, the other bits of the cone. Now let's Melva, you've got to figure this out. There we go. Sometimes I'm a little 3-dimensional challenge. So now I'm just going to fit these Berry Burst pieces into the cone the same way they were fit into the dies. If you used adhesive foam sheets, yeah, hey Felicia. Yeah, I know it's always a surprise to me about how I keep them without drying out. Okay, so if you used, when you cut your dies out, if you put adhesive foam sheets on the back of your dies, that actually does help keep these pieces together so they don't kind of come apart. And then you've got adhesive on the back already. I'm going to use that die away before I lose it. I'm going to use dimensionals. So now that this is the back side, so I'm going to use dimensionals, and I'm just going to put these dimensionals over the seams of where I've kind of pieced those Berry Burst little sections in. And that's probably more dimensionals than I typically use, but I want to make sure that I've got all my seams, all my pieces kind of adhered. All right, there we go. I really need to clean that off. I've got glue now. Okay, let's just take it's got a little bit of glue. Okay, so now I've got a piece. I've got the top of my ice cream cone looking like it's got swirls. Now, talking about embossing powder. So this is the shimmery white embossing powder. There's 2 different kinds of embossing powder. There's the regular white one and there's a shimmery one. I was hoping to use the regular white one, but as I said, it dried out. So when I stored this one, I actually took the bag that it was in, and when I opened it up, I covered this right over top. I left the foil and I covered this right over top and put the lid on. And when I opened it up, it actually is not dried out at all. Come on, back there. So you can see it's very and still liquidy in there. So I think that that's kind of a secret, is to keep it as sealed as you possibly can, and putting some saran wrap or just keep the bag that they come in and put that over top will hopefully help it stay liquidy, because it's kind of a waste when you open it and then you find that it's all dried out. Now I'm going to take and put some shimmery embossing paste. Hopefully, I don't want a ton of it, but I just want to take some and just add a little bit of texture to my ice cream cone. There. Okay. A little bit there. All right. Clean your palette knife off. You can get, I think they come in packages of 3, these palette knives, and they're in the same section of the catalog that has the embossing paste in them. So just take a baby wipe or a cloth with a little wet to it and clean that off so you don't have a whole bunch of the embossing paste. And take and close up your embossing paste right away, because then it won't dry out. And that's really tight. I'm really screwing that on so that it's really tight. I'll clean up any you have. Now I'm going to take my heat tool and my tweezers, And I'm going to just heat my embossing paste. Ideally, you just want to let this dry, but if I'm going to put this on my card, I'm going to get my fingers into it, and it's not going to be pretty. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and dry it a little bit. Heat it a little bit to dry it. The sections that are going to be really take a while to dry are these thicker sections that I've got. Just testing it. All right, I may run the heat tool back over that, but I'm going to start to put my card together. Okay, so this is quite, this ice cream cone is quite large. So I tend to put them on an angle when I do my ice cream like that. So I'm going to take and use dimensionals on scissors on my ice cream cone as well. Just cut these because I'm almost to the end of my dimensional sheet. So this way I can use the rest of them. All right. And I want to make sure I leave room to put a sentiment on. I don't know, it's not really an ice cream cone kind of day here. It's kind of a little sunnier than it was this morning, but it's definitely, I don't know, needs to get a little warmer for me. All right, I've got some berry burst. So while my ice cream is drying, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I think I'm going to use the thanks because I always need thank you cards. But what I do want to make sure, yep, I left enough room. Oops. Come on. Sticking. So when I have photopolymer stamps, I tend to just kind of put them down on the glass plate, and my fingers are sticky and the glass plate's sticky, and then I pick it up from there. Hopefully pick it up from there because it really wants to stick. Come on. It really wants to stick, so it's not happy about being stuck on this plate. I'm not sure, this block. All right, so I'm just going to take and stamp my thanks in berry burst. And you know what I forgot is a piece of basic white, but I have a piece of basic white. Here we go. There's a piece of basic white. So now let's stamp a strawberry on the inside of my card, just because I haven't used this stamp before. So we'll just stamp that fun strawberry. Okay, so that's the inside of the card. Okay, so now I'm just going to take, as I typically do, is I'm just going to cut. I'm not going to cut around. I'm going to cut just a rectangle. And I don't worry too much if it's not perfectly straight. And then I'm going to do, I think I did this yesterday. I'm going to adhere this onto the bubble bath, and then I'm going to cut around it so that I have a layer or a mat on it. So I'm just going to put that like that, and then we'll just take, oops, just like 1/8 of an inch. Doesn't matter if it's not perfectly straight. So I'm just going to take, and then I will use dimensionals on the back of that as well. Oops. There we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, so hopefully, okay, it's still not completely dry. So if you're doing this and using embossing paste, just be really gentle. I mean, it's dry enough that I can handle it and I'm not getting embossing paste all over my fingers, but it is not completely dry that it wouldn't crush or smush if you put it into an envelope. And if you decide that you want a little bit more embossing paste on it afterwards, you can always do that after you've got that on the card base. So we'll put this in on the inside of my card like that. I'm going to close this down because I don't want to smush that any more than it is, all the embossing paste. All right, and then I pulled out somewhere, here they are, these iridescent faceted gems that are just so fun that I love. I just absolutely love them. So I've been using them on a lot of cards, but they go with everything being that they're iridescent. All right, so there, put my lid on my glue. There is my ice cream swirl card with the shimmery embossing paste on it, just to give it a little bit more texture. And it does kind of rubbing off. So I'm just going to let that sit and dry for a little while longer before I actually go to put it into an envelope. I'll try and move my screen over a little bit. There we go. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't played with embossing paste, well, now's the time. Pull it out or add it to your wish list, because there's lots of things you can do, especially as we start to get in. Oh, okay. Yeah. I have never tried adding water to it, Felicia, but if that reconstitutes it, that's really good. I will have to try that. I do have my jar that was completely dried up when I opened it. So maybe adding a little bit of water would work, but I haven't heard that. So we'll have to try it and see how it does. Yeah, so if you haven't tried embossing paste, it's kind of fun and it's perfect for the holiday season as we start to think, I don't know, it's July tomorrow, as we start to think about Christmas, because there are some Christmas things coming out in the online exclusives that I think the embossing paste is going to be perfect for. So pull it out, play with it, add it to your wish list. Don't forget, today is the last day for the bundle sales, so you can get an extra 10% off on Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines, as well as an extra 10% off in the Stampin' Die bundles that are in the annual catalog. So the current bundles, not the individual stamps and dies like this one wouldn't apply to this ice cream swirl, but it does apply to the existing ones that have already 10% off. So you get 20% off. Today's the last day, so don't miss out on that great deal. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now I will be back live on Tuesday night at 6:30 Pacific with a sketch challenge. So hopefully you can come and join me then. Happy stamping. Bye.